I'm back. Do I look like the flying nun, Africana? I needed to say that. This is called the gele. I love wrapping my hair. I have dreadlocks, but I love wrapping my hair, and I love wearing my earrings up high so that it really just sort of accentuates my face. Anyway, I'm here tonight to talk about my steps to finding gratitude. And I want to share a situation with you. And I don't mind that it's a personal situation because I want you to hear what I believe is God working in my life, because I believe God works for me twice over, right? So, as I've stated earlier, I come from New York. I'm from Harlem. I live here now in Florida. And when I first moved down, I had been blessed to secure an apartment. And so when I moved here, I did have at least an apartment. I was blessed to get a job, a couple of days after. Really, really blessed, right? I lost my unemployment and had to leave that apartment. And my situation is that I was grumpy about moving into this particular complex. My grumpiness was due to my not doing anything to change my financial situation so that I could have better. That's not anybody else's fault. If there's fault, it's mine. Let me say that again. I had not done anything to change my financial circumstances to allow me to have better. So when I moved into this complex, it was what I could afford. I was grumpy about it. I complained all the time, talked about how poorly the apartment had been put together, how I could hear my neighbors all the time, how noisy the children were, everything. Nothing made me happy. Nothing made me happy about it. The sloppiness of the maintenance workers. I complained about everything. And there came a point at which I did not have the ability to cover my rent here either. Had gotten a job working for a tax business, because they're seasonal, and they wanted me to stand outside in some Statue of Liberty uniform 3 days out of the week, 4 hours a day, being paid $8.50. I was willing to take it. A neighbor heard my conversation and took me, understood what was taking place, and took me to her job and said, there might be a position open, would you be willing to interview? I was. Now, in between that, what happened was I had been really struggling and fighting and crying, trying to find a way to cover my rent. My son was still in the military. I didn't know how all of this was going to come together. And I was leaving my house at 4:30 in the morning, going up to the state offices to try and get them to give me what's called a one-shot deal, only to find that this office had been relocated and I didn't know where it was. So I go into the management office a couple of days later and I asked the woman, I've really been trying to find a job. I haven't found anything. I want to thank you so much for working with me. How soon do I need to vacate the apartment? And she said, well, you'll have to be out by this coming Saturday. And I said, fine. So it was, a couple of days I had before I would have to leave the apartment. Now, I had already gone on one interview and got the job, but I knew that $8.50 an hour, 3 days a week, 4 hours a day was not going to cover this rent. And my son was about to come home, and it was important that he have some place that he could call home to come to. And a neighbor heard my conversation, and there's nothing on the face of this planet that makes me believe that God did not have her stand in the hallway that day to hear what I was saying. And she had taken me down to the interview and the whole nine. And when I came back in the house from having management tell me, you have until this coming Saturday, that coming Saturday, to leave the apartment, I gotten a phone call. And the phone call was that, Michelle, you have the job. Can you start such and such day? And I just sat there and cried. I cried like a baby. And I went down to the job and got everything taken care of and came back to the management office and said to them, I just got a job. Is there something that we could do? They had already served me with the eviction notice. And, we had a conversation, and she says to me, give me a plan on how you could get these fees and whatever paid. And I did that. It was acceptable. I took it. My gratitude still hadn't shown up. I was still griping about things that were completely unnecessary. With all of that just took place, I'm still grumpy about it. But what happened was in 2013, when I realized I was close to being in that situation again. Then I had to sit back and take a look at what had happened before. So I'm grateful for memory. I'm grateful for my thought process, in that I was able to sit back, take a look at what was going on, and say to myself, you're close to the same situation. Do you really want to hold on to this attitude? I mean, the attitude was so bad that I packed some of my belongings because I'm, so sure that I'm going to leave. But where can I go if I don't display my gratitude for what I already have? And not having a job and looking for a job and then being able to have a job, my gratitude showed up. Not only did I have to sit back and look at how I had the money to cover myself for a year in savings. I covered my rent from my savings, exhausted my cash flow. But I had the money to do it. I had the money to put food on the table. I had the money to keep, a washing machine, running so that we could keep our clothes clean. I had the money to pay the light. I had the money to pay the gas bill. I get hot water through gas, right? And it was such an easy thing at some point for me to really look at myself and see, how could you not be grateful for what's going on? How could you not show your appreciation for what's taking place? And how dare you believe that you can take this for granted when you don't even have to have it? So my steps are to look at my situation, see what it is that I might be grumpy or griping about, right? Take a look at the possibility that it does serve a benefit for me. I don't have to have it. And what would my life be like without it? I have no idea, because I've been blessed to be able to still maintain it. So if you have a situation and you feel like it's something that you can just take for granted, or it's something that you don't have to display any gratitude about, think about the possibilities of what it might be like if you didn't have it. I don't care if it's a car that you say is dirty and run down. Clean the car. When you show appreciation for that vehicle, you'll keep it clean. You won't let anybody else be disrespectful to it, and you'll understand that you're grateful that you have it. That's real talk. Your apartment, you'll do the necessary things to keep it together and, keep it clean and organized because you do appreciate it. If there's another apartment that I want, I'm not going to be able to get it unless I show God that I'm appreciative of the one that I'm in right now. It's not going to happen. I still ride a bicycle. Love it. It really kind of helps to keep me a little trim, to be honest with you, because I've gained a few pounds. But when the time is right, God is going to bless me with another vehicle. I'm not rushing the process. Right now, I don't need it. I wanted to share these steps with you so that you could sit and take a look at your own situations. Find the gratitude in what it is that you have. Don't take for granted what it is that is there, or who you are, or how you function. Because things could always be different. Always be different. There are people who are not going to be, there are people who didn't get up. That alarm clock that I say is God, there's some people who didn't wake up this morning. There are people who came home from work today, a hard day's work, where, the day was fabulous, but they have an eviction notice on their door too, and their door is locked. Mine wasn't. How grateful am I? I mean, I'm so grateful for that. There are people who, their car's been running fine, and all of a sudden they're stuck on the highway and they can't go any further. And they don't really have the insurance to call like a tow truck to have someone come and pick them up. They're almost at the beck and call of passerbys to be of service to them because they couldn't afford to do any more with their insurance than what they have already done. So I'm asking you to just look at those things. It is important that you look at yourself in the process. Because if you can't take that ownership about the part that you play in what's going on, you probably won't be able to see past the situation. It won't hurt you to take the ownership. It won't kill you. It'll make you stronger, and it will make you grateful. I'm grateful that I could share this information with you. It's not a big deal to me, because my hope is that it will do something for somebody else. I'm grateful for my apartment. It needs to show a little bit more, but yes, I am grateful. I'm grateful for my apartment, that we have a place that shelters us from the weather, that we can rest and relax in, get into our little bit of entertainment, sit, laugh, talk with one another in, have a good time, have company over. I almost lost that. And until I changed my attitude about what it was that I had, I took it for granted. And anything that we take for granted, more than likely, we lose. Because if you don't appreciate it, a lot of times you just can't keep it. So that's it for me tonight. Not going to do another video. Not yet. I hope I've touched somebody. The email address will be at the bottom. Once again, it is RevolutionGratitudeNow@gmail.com. One person. Of course, I want more, but one person. And it really has been a pleasure to share with you. Thank you so much, and enjoy your evening. Good night.